This is my manga. I drew every single page, designed the cover and sent everything off to be printed. And a few weeks later, it showed up at my door. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly how I did it, step by step. Setting up the files, the printing service that I used, the unexpected errors along the way, and what to pay attention to. Hi everyone, my name's Lewis and I am an indie mangaka from Italy. I started writing and drawing my own manga, Witch Night, back in the summer of 2024. Right now you can read the first 2 chapters completely for free online, links in the description. Since I started, I've been posting some reels on Instagram, with mixed results honestly, and some shorts here on YouTube, which have actually done better. One of them, where I showed a printed volume in my hands for the first time, got a lot of you asking the same question. How did you get that printed? So today I want to walk you through everything that happens after you've finished drawing. All the behind the scenes work that goes into turning your manga pages into an actual physical book. I use Clip Studio Paint to make my manga, so screenshots and recordings in this video will be from there. But the settings should be very similar in other applications. Let's start with the basics, your project settings. There are a few small things to get right from the very beginning in order to avoid complications later. This is the window that will be shown when we try to create a new project in Clip Studio Paint. On the top bar, I select this icon here, showing a page with a gear that lets me customize my project in every aspect. Usually, I start by choosing presets already available in Clip Studio Paint, since they include formats used by real Japanese publishers like Shueisha or Kodansha, which is pretty handy. I kept the default margins like the trim size and the inner border as they were. On this drop down here, I think you can choose the format for the final printed page if you know it in advance. When I printed my volume, I didn't know it, so I kept the default selected option for commercial issue. Then make sure you set your project's resolution to 600 dpi. dpi stands for dots per inch, and it basically determines how sharp your artwork looks once it's printed. 600 is the standard for professional print quality, so that's what I would recommend. I've seen some people say that the right value depends on whether you're printing black and white or in color, but honestly I don't know enough about this topic. So I just go with 600 dpi to be safe. For basic expression color, select monochrome if your pages are black and white, gray if you're working with grayscale tones, or color if you're printing in full color. Once all your settings are good, you can start drawing. And when you're done, export all your pages as PNG or JPEG files at the best possible quality. So at this point, you've got all your artwork ready. Now I want to be upfront about something. I didn't print this at home. I don't have a printer capable of handling a job like this, and honestly, even if I did, the amount of paper, ink and test prints I would have gone through would have cost a fortune, especially for a first attempt with no prior experience. So I set aside a small budget and used a professional printing company instead. I had a few requirements when looking for one. First, it had to be fully online. That's because I didn't want to travel anywhere in person. Second, it had to be reasonably priced, since I wasn't planning to sell the copies and was already spending money on a passion project. Third, it needed good reviews, so I could actually trust the quality. After looking at a few options, I landed on Pixartprinting. a company that works across Europe and North America. Of course, there are a lot of alternatives out there. This is just the one that I found. On their setup page for manga volumes, you can customize quite a few things like the type of binding, the page size. For this I chose A5, which is close to a standard manga volume, the orientation, the total number of pages, the paper type, paperweight, and cover decorations. The spine thickness is calculated automatically based on all those choices, so you don't need to worry about that. Once you've made all your selections, you can also choose the quantity of copies and the delivery date, and you'll see the final price update in real time on the side. After confirming everything, the website gives you 2 PDF files to download, the instructions and the template. Just press the buttons here to get them. The instructions are a short guide on how to prepare your files correctly. The template is the most important one. It's the framework you'll place your artwork into, with all the guidelines and margins you need to follow for the print to come out right. Read the instructions carefully for the full guide, or just keep watching. I'll walk you through it. Now you've got everything you need: your pages in PNG or JPEG format, and the print PDF template. The next step is placing your artworks inside the template, and for that you'll need a separate application. For this task, I would recommend something like Affinity or Canva. Both are free to use, both can do the job, and both can export a final PDF with your artwork overlaid on the template pages. I will show you the process in Affinity, but if you already use Canva, it should work in a very similar way. Open Affinity and import the PDF template, then head to the Layout tab. On the left, you'll see all the pages of the template. The main window shows whichever page you've selected. Skip the cover and inside cover for now, and go to the first available content page. Before you start placing your pages though, there's something important to decide: your reading direction. If you want your manga to read right to left, like a traditional Japanese manga, you'll need to insert your pages into the template in reverse order, starting from the last page of your story and working backwards. Your cover and back cover will be swapped as well. If you prefer the standard Western reading direction, left to right, then just follow the template order as normal. Either way is completely valid. Just make sure you decide before you start, so you don't have to redo everything later like I did. Now import your first manga page, copy it and paste it onto the correct page in the template. Resize it so that its width fits the blank page width, but make sure you lock the aspect ratio so that it doesn't get stretched or distorted. Once it's the right size, center it both horizontally and vertically using the alignment tools in the top right corner. To check that everything sits within the margins, lower the opacity of your artwork just a little bit. You will be able to see the template guidelines underneath. Make sure nothing important goes beyond the trim line. Anything outside that line will be cut off in the final print. Anyway, if you followed the safe zone that Clip Studio Paint pages show you while you drew, you should really be okay and not worried about that. One more thing to pay attention to before you move on is double page spreads. If your manga has anything that spans across 2 pages, like a panel or an illustration for example, you need to export them correctly from Clip Studio Paint. I'm gonna show you my method, but remember that I'm not a professional, so there might be a better way. Export your double page spread from Clip Studio Paint as a single file and import it into Affinity. Copy it, paste it onto a blank template page, and this time resize it so that its width matches exactly double the width of a single blank page. Align it vertically to the center and horizontally to the left. Now copy it and paste it onto the next page, then align it vertically to the center and horizontally to the right. And now the trick that will make it work. Come back to the first page and move it to the left. You need to move it around 12 pixels, which should be something like 3 millimeters or 9 points. So here on the X position, you just write -12. You need to do the same for the next page, but move it to the other way. So add 12 to the current X value. This way, your artwork should perfectly match. Now let's move on the cover. I'm gonna show you how I made it using Canva, since at the time I didn't know Affinity yet, but the process is exactly the same. Think of the cover as a double page spread. Design the front and back together as a single file. Then import it into your application and center it on the page. The same applies to the inside cover, so I would suggest you keep it white. To do that, just remove the template guidelines from that page and leave it blank. The one element that makes the cover different from a regular spread is the spine. You'll need to measure its width from the template and design it yourself within the same file. Then, just repeat the process for every page. It might sound slow, but once you get into the rhythm, it goes quite quickly. I figured all of this out on my own, with no graphic design background and no professional printing experience. So if I could do it, you definitely can too. Once all your pages are placed, go to File, Export, PDF, PDF for print. There are other options available, but for our purposes, this one works perfectly without needing to touch any extra settings. Give the file one last check, then head back to the Pixartprinting website and upload it following the instructions. I can't show you the upload interface right now, since I haven't placed a new order. But it's genuinely straightforward, there's nothing to worry about. Then just wait for the courier to show up at your door. And that's my full printing process. One last thing I want to mention, because I think it's worth being transparent about. Even professional printing companies can make mistakes. When my order arrived, I noticed a small error on the cover. Nothing too bad, but I did pay for the service and I expected it to be right, especially given all the positive reviews. So I checked my files first to make sure the mistake wasn't mine, and then I contacted their customer support, explained the issue and sent a few photos. They agreed it was a printing error on their end, and without any fuss, they offered to reprint and resend the entire order at no extra cost to me. When the second order arrived, everything was perfect. I'm sharing this because I think it's important to know. Even good companies are not flawless, but how they handle mistakes makes the difference. And in this case, I was genuinely impressed. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please consider leaving a like and a comment. And make sure to subscribe for more videos about my manga journey. It really helps the channel grow and it means a lot to me. If you have any questions about the process, drop them in the comments below. I read every single one and I'll do my best to answer. Alright, that's it for today. See you in the next video. Bye!